Dear participants of our web class, hello. We welcome you here. This is the first meeting after a very important event, International Theosophical Congress in Sochi. We are very happy that you are here. Thank you so much to those who participated in the Congress, who participated online. This a number of classes that we have during the whole year actually is focused in such great events as International Congress. This Congress is like a magnet. It attracts scientists from all over the world. The Congress is very important, not only for Russia, but also for other countries. That's why we are very grateful to everyone who support us, who send their greetings to us, who connect to our web classes, and who worked together with us in one space. So today we continue our web classes, which is a joint project. Now I would like to give the floor to the head of this virtual center, Luke Michael Ironside. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And once again, I would like to extend my greetings to all participants, those who are joining us here through Zoom, or those who are following the live video feed on YouTube. As we approach the end of the year, now being halfway through December, we can reflect back on everything that we have learned, everything that we have studied, and the progress that we have made so far in our study of Madame Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine. We are currently up to the 6th sloka of the first stanza, which the fact that we are still on this first stanza gives us an idea of the vastness of this work, of the expanse of wisdom and knowledge and information which is contained within the volumes of the Secret Doctrine. And it really gives a bit of clarity to the idea that the study of the Secret Doctrine is a lifetime study. It's not a book that one can simply pick up, browse through, or read over the space of a couple of weeks, then put away and forget about. It is something which requires continuous reflection, continuous study, and Madame Blavatsky many times suggested that, as well as individual study, that there is the necessity for some kind of group study, whether this be in one's lodge, and then now here in the 21st century, Theosophy has sort of transcended lodges, and we're coming together through these across boundaries, across cultures, across nationalities, to join together in these global events, these international events. And so we are really privileged in many ways to be able to gather together in this very unique way to study a text which remains as relevant today as when it was first published at the dusk of the 19th century. And so we are very happy to welcome to these meetings students joining us from Russia, the Philippines, Singapore, Moldova, Belarus, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Canada, the UK, Australia, the US, Bolivia, Nigeria, India, Japan, Pakistan, Lebanon, Spain, Norway, Mexico, Germany, Estonia, Indonesia, Finland, Turkey, Greece, the Netherlands, Kazakhstan, Sri Lanka, Brazil, Mexico, Italy, Colombia, and elsewhere. So it's truly an international effort, and it's very inspiring to see the interest from these many countries around the world, including some countries in which the Theosophical Society is not currently established, which is one of the purposes of the founding of the Virtual Center for Theosophical Studies, to provide opportunities for study to those who may not be able to access a lodge in their local area. So that's really inspiring to see. We have, up until this point in time, studied the prologue of the Secret Doctrine as well as the first 5 stanzas, and we are still working through those foundational stanzas of Cian, which provide some background to the reason for our existence, the ways in which it came to be, in line with the Hermetic principle, as above, so below. So as we study these great cosmic truths, these truths which apply on the macrocosmic level, we can also reflect on how they apply on the microcosmic level, both to the universe and to us, human beings, as universes in miniature. So today we will be exploring the 6th stanza, which states that the 7 sublime lords and the 7 truths had ceased to be, and the universe, the son of necessity, was immersed in paranishpanna, to be outbreathed by that which is and yet is not, naught was. And so with that, I'd like to once again thank all participants for joining us today. I'd like to also especially thank the interpreters who tirelessly work to translate simultaneously between English and Russian. So thank you to Alexander Bobko, Tatiana Kostenko, and all our colleagues from the Adamant Lodge of the Theosophical Society in Russia. And of course, thank you to the presenters, Vladimir Yari from the Theosophical Society of Russia, president of the Adamant Lodge and head of the Moscow School of Theosophy, and to Eugenia Shabernikova, the project coordinator for the Theosophy Foundation. With that, I would like to hand over to the project coordinators. Thank you.
Дорогой Люк, огромное спасибо за ваши слова.
Dear Luke, thank you so much for such kind words. Thank you so much for such a kind introduction. And you mentioned that study of hidden doctrine is indeed something that we can do in groups. It's very important, actually. It's like the beginning of the whole community and motion. I think it's one of the main goals of our community. And next time, when we will be united in our consciousness, we will be able to study it better. Now, I would like to give the floor to the head of Moscow School of Theosophy, Mr. Yari. Thank you so much to all those who participated here, who joined this class, which is not very easy to do, because now we have certain occult laws that started that can extend your flame or decrease it. And we need to adapt to this situation. It's a necessity. It's a necessity of our way of ascension. So let's start, obviously, from the idea of the day. The first stanza of 6 and 6 Sloka actually mentions the world of such nature that can actually help us to manifest life. And this word is still, we can say that it is still in its potentiality of such sphere, such world of the first stanza. We can say that it deployed only in one plane, in one level. On this plane, we can see that all is deployed that is in potential of every world, every energy, and every consciousness, and every substance. All of this is in potential mode. It is only with help of impulses of spirit or an absolute that it can be deployed in its absolute. It can be represented in its absolute. It's the holy of holiness from the eternal darkness, which is absolute light. This light actually shows the nature. It expresses it. And the whole expression is what we see in the sixth sloka of the first stanza. The seven sublime lords and the seven truths had ceased to be. And the universe, the son of necessity, was immersed in paranishpanna, to be out-breathed by that which is and yet is not. Not was. Not was explains, it is the first manuscript which is deployed in its potentiality. This potentiality is the spirit or nature of all future things and all that is. It is in its reflected state. This state will move to emanation and it will emit the life itself. It will emit eternal life at a certain periods or cycles. Now let's have a look at the idea of the day. It is as follows. Actually, we are already in this environment, in this nature. We express it, we carry it, which means that we are forms of life. We are such forms that have cycles of birth and death. We continue to evolve within these cycles, and the higher mind is evolving as well. Divine forces have their own hierarchy. It has its own evolutionary motion, and the human being is a representative of this hierarchy. So the idea of the day can be considered by the expression of the hierarchy within a person. It says, depend not upon external supports, nor beg your tranquility of another. In a word, never throw away your legs to stand upon crutches. So this idea actually draws our attention to the fact that everyone has the whole potentiality and opportunity to express themselves through understanding of yourself. When you start understanding yourself, it becomes irrelevant if they have additional tips or recommendations from others. They themselves try to feel their goal, their way, and their direction. It's very important for today. Nedans that try to show such synthesis to us actually shows that we have the day of blue dog. Blue dog is a principle, and it determines by itself some roughness or stability. This dog is in Taurus constellation. So today we are within this absolute of spirit and mind state, which means that we are in the purity of mind, and we have to be stable within its purity of within the purity of our mind. So here in this purity, no illusion can reach us. Our mind is pure, and it's calm. And that what is based on the universal law.
That is when, in that case, we are capable of having a sound answering the thought of the universe. Therefore, by our knowledge feeling can sound, and it is expressed in the voice of silence, in the spatial fire otherwise, because the spatial fire is the main part of psychic energy. It is constantly in balance. And when we co-sound in it, we have peace inside, and through this peace, stability. One more important moment is that the blue dog today is in the spiritual cross of the Kalachakra wheel. The spiritual cross of the Kalachakra wheel is shown by 4 bright elements: earth, water, air, and fire. These 4 elements that are the main ones when they are harmonious, and they are harmonious when we are deeply enrooted in the law, in the hierarchic nature. Then we do not run ahead of the train, so to say. We accept what we're having right now and what is happening in this being, in this atmosphere of our world, in those conditions we are in. We accept them as necessity, as what we have, as reality here and now, and we're not trying to change them. We are not impeding this law, but according to it, we are following the rules. And as we follow them, everything goes along it according to necessity and precisiveness of evolution. If we have attention, it gives us stability, sustainability, but through it we are also capable of understanding. As you see the cross at the Kalachakra wheel, the spiritual cross, is very stable because it is based on two legs, so to say, and it's sustainable. And the symbol of the blue dog gives us such an opportunity. Opposite to it, there is the blue dragon. Principles are the following. The blue dragon is blue. The yellow goat is feeling love. And the ox, the white ox, pardon, the yellow ox symbolizes the principle of realization. It is in Leo constellation. The most important point we should know today is that in the same cross there is the Aquarius age, the Aquarius constellation. The Aquarius constellation is opposite to the Leo constellation. We are in this era. In 1936 on, from 1936 on, and it was a very important year marked by Nidana of the blue monkey. The blue monkey is the symbol of beauty, of thought, of harmony, and feeling of beauty. Actually, the era is so important, but everything depends on the day. Everything is concentrated in the day, and the cross of today shows us in combination, their combination. Here we go. And why have I started from the day? Because there is a double flow of energy. This double flow of energy of life, what is called polarity. These are the two forces, centripetal and centrifugal, and they flow simultaneously. If in the wheel of time we see this movement clockwise and anti-clockwise according to Nidanas, then we should always, through co-measuring of centripetal and centrifugal forces, we should find balance of it by our understanding. We should balance up the processes of what is happening right now, and therefore we will go from one plane to another. We have such an opportunity to travel in time if we understand correctly, and through our understanding we apply what we know. We apply these two movements through self-expression, as expressing the synthesis. These movements, this polarity, has a capacity of combining, and what combines is the mind, the human being. So the human being creates the universe. The whole hierarchy is concentrated in the human being. As soon as the human being in the material world starts to understand the illusion of any forms of existence, at this point of time, he starts to unite paradoxal things that cannot go together, but if we combine them, it's a joy. So in the solid world, we should make these combinations of energy because they're happening only when life, with all its hierarchy and potentiality of rational forces, are concentrated in the human being, so the human being is capable of implementing it. The time has come when we should at least collectively try to come to the consensus, synthetical one, understanding what we can, how we can unite different teachings, schools, religions, and find the point that will let us have lightness in cooperation. We can cooperate only when there is an express synthesis. The synthesis is first and foremost understanding of this being, of expressed forces. The expressed universe is the world of the causality. And what causes we put in mean that in all the worlds we will have the result, the effect. The way you live on Earth, with what ideas you live, you have an opportunity to enter the other world, and you are magnetically attracted to that world where the magnet or your thought works. The thought is natural. It has the basis of psychic energy, and according to this psychic state, and the blue dog says that we should stay solidly at position of peace inside ourselves, the harmony.
Вот если мы гармоничны в себе, то мы
We're harmonious inside, then we're sustainable. And to become harmonious, we should be disciplined. We should discipline our mind. Discipline of our mind leads to the situation when we are the guiding force of the human being. With his desires, feelings, emotions, we are capable of expressing this human nature, or of having rational actions, of expressing the divine in the human being, of revealing it, of awakening it, of awakening the consciousness. So we have the week, the white boar, the week of the white boar. The boar gives us revelation of the consciousness through sustainability of the person. It means calm mind. When the mind is calm, then the consciousness starts to awaken, to express itself. And the white boar is the summary of the whole experience, knowledge that the human gained in the solid world, or in the world of the valley, or the being of the solid world. I would say that the moon human being has the whole sum of emotions, passions,
кабан белый, он
and
олицетворяет
due to that, the white boar expresses this metal. The white element is metal or ether, and this ether is nothing but an atomic ether, consisting of material atoms. And the material atom gives, first of all, the form of expressing the consciousness. Therefore, the consciousness expresses itself through the form, and this form is what expresses the spirit. And here, it's that important that the Nidana of the white boar expresses the spirit, because the spirit is actually consciousness, but expressed through the matter. And
Материя в этот момент белого
here we come
кабана
to the point that the spirit and the matter in this moment of the white boar, they are combined, and it's spirit matter all
принципов
together, two in one,
вселенских.
two main principles of the universe.
И это очень важный момент.
And it's that
Ну
important.
а теперь для себя мы уяснили,
And
что
here,
в белом кабане
as we've understood that the
дело заканчивается
white
лунный
boar
человек,
finishes the moon human being.
потому что дух
In
заимел
fact,
форму
because the
проявления.
spirit has the form of
Каждый из
revelation.
нас в эту неделю,
Everyone,
каждый человек
each
проявляет
of
свою
us
форму
this
духа
week expresses the form of the
по-разному,
spirit in a different
индивидуально,
manner, individually,
сознательно и бессознательно, но большинство
consciously
бессознательно.
and unconsciously, but
Но
most of us, of course,
бессознательно может только
unconsciously,
посвященный
because consciously is
проявлять
what only
необходимую
the enlightened one can do, can reveal
духа
the
света,
necessary force of
соответствующую
the spirit
действительности
that
происходящего момента.
acts according to the reality of the moment that is
В
happening.
этом случае еще мир
And
духовный
in this
проявляется.
fact, the world,
Знаете, мы находимся как раз на границе
this world is finishing, and we are at the
этого
border
креста материального
of this cross between material,
и мир дольный.
and
Это
this
как раз
world
вот это все основание
is this basis
черной лошади и до белого кабана.
from the black horse to the white boar.
Черная лошадь
The black horse is not part
в лунное состояние человечества,
of the moon state of humanity,
а входит только импульс.
and there is only an impetus of
Само
it that is part of it. The impetus of justice, because the black horse is the symbol of justice,
Через козу
and its
черная
impetus goes through the black goat, and the black goat is initially the symbol of initial love. And here is when the moon energy starts.
построена на том, чтобы явить
It's
форму
built
себе
upon
подобную.
expressing the form similar
То
to
есть
itself,
создать нужную форму для
or
жизни.
on creating the necessary form
И эта
for
мысль
life,
присутствует в
and this
человечестве.
thought exists in
А
humanity.
завершается эта мысль
And
в
this thought,
собачке белой.
moon thought, finishes in white
Но
dog.
собачка белая
The white dog
дает импульс.
gives an impetus, or
Личность этой личности,
the person,
утвержденная на любви,
its solidity is based on
через
love,
которую она порождает
through
формы
which
для жизни сознания.
it gives birth to
Выявляет
forms of
сознание
consciousness,
со всей суммой
reveals
своего
the
собрана
consciousness with the whole
через
sum
любовь,
gained
которая
through love
способна
that
рождать,
can
зарождать
give birth
новые формы
to new forms
для проявления и эволюции разума,
for revelation and evolution
то
of the
есть
mind,
огненной природы или духа.
or the fiery nature, or the spirit.
Так вот, с этого момента
So from this moment on, from this week,
следующая неделя будет
next
черной
week
мыши.
will be the one of
Вот
the
как раз мы
black
будем
mouse,
закладывать согласно
and
своему
then
проявлению
we will
кабана белого этой недели, будем закладывать
we will
свою
sow,
жертву
according to the white boar, the
для нового
causes
колеса
for the
и
new
странствовать
wheel
по нему.
and
И
travel
входим в
thereon.
мир горний.
We will go
Поэтому
into the upper
в
world,
духе черном следующем принципе,
and
где
in
реализация
the black ox, in
происходит
the next principle, where the
накоплением
implementation is happening through
этих
accumulation
процессий
of
в
these
мышце
causes.
черной,
In the white, in the
будет
black
проявление.
mouse, there's the new year, the calendar new year.
В общем, вот такая вот комбинация. А теперь мы перейдем к месяцу. И месяц у нас.
So that's the combination that we see. Now let's move on to the month. We have the month of the yellow wild boar. It's in the Libra constellation. Now have a look at this month. Imagine we are trying to reevaluate our values thanks to Libra. We use them. It's like scales. We try to understand, we try to express the form by using our life principle, because this wild boar is under the ray of Jupiter, of sun, and of kindness. In that case, the wild boar as a consciousness can connect mind and heart. And through this synthetic connection, we see a new form appearing. And this form in the mouse and tomorrow, and in white wild boar, after that, we will be able to express the fullness of the year where we are now. Imagine in a couple of days, new entity will be manifested in the consciousness of every human being, and it will express the whole year of white bull. Yellow wild boar is a state of liberation, because when we use the scales in this month, we create a nib of new consciousness. It's like a culmination. It's a creation of new spiral elements that would create a new quality of consciousness. Now we move on to the year. Esoteric year is the year of black tiger. Black tiger manifests itself in Scorpio constellation, and it expresses itself in a creation of spiritual person. Spiritual is key here. You see, a spiritual person is being created in astral waters, in waters of the sublime world. These waters are in the mother of the world, that is, the nature itself. All the forces that we accumulated by moving through the space and higher manases talk to us about paramita, about not having mutual obstacles in order to have the individuality of every being to be manifested. And this individuality is connected with our mind and thinking. And the idea of the day says to us that we do not have to use external supports, and we don't have to beg our tranquility of another. And it's very important in this idea of the day not to throw away our legs, but stand upon and to stand upon crutches. Here we have a black dragon, and black snake, blue horse, and other animals like red monkey. All of them are expressing all six ideas, and they exist in Nidana, that are in the plane of red dog. Can you please show the red dog? Adinidana of red dog is an important impulse of the whole element of the higher will. It is created as a strong power by going through the Leo constellation. It moves forward, and it confirmed the higher will as the higher justice. And then it moved on. I mentioned these forces, dragon, snake, and other forces here. And now we have this yellow dog, and it should be manifested in the consciousness by its strongness and its calmness of its mind. And it can be manifested through wild boar. Now we have the whole direction of space, the whole decade that we lived through. We are living it, and the black tiger allows us to do that and to be reborn, to have an aspiration of a child that can perceive the world, try it by smell, by touch, try to feel it and understand it. All these properties actually are applied to life by a child, and it helps them to understand the world, to discover it by the forces of the world of the flames. We take these forces from there as a higher power, and then helps to these forces. We create the nibs of consciousness through the sector of Libra, and through that, these beginnings of life, we move on, and then the year of white bull created it, and that's how the manifestation of black tiger appeared, and that's expressed in the new person. We are in these nedans, in these energies, and we live through the same century, the century of white dragon, the symbol of manifested wisdom. It's under Saturn ray. Saturn is the energy and the form of thought, and it is formed and it created the world of wisdom. For the whole century, we form it through wisdom. In other words, we should actually start to perceive, consciously perceive our universe. And now we have that opportunity. And Saturn actually allows us to give the shape to the world. That's what we should do. We should transform chaos into something beautiful, start creating a pattern that would align with the beauty of our existence. And according to this dragon, it works as an intermediary, and that would help us to connect these words 3 words,
в эту мудрость, и тогда эпоха
and they will be connected in one wisdom. In that case, the whole era
красоте
under the blue monkey and the beauty of the thought will help us.
сотворить
We will be able to create something new, more dense astral body, light body,
уплотняет это астральное
and it will be more dense
ясная мысль.
by the clarity of thinking. The feeling of beauty will help us here. This capacity is important. We have it.
И станция нам говорит, что мы
Stanza
находимся
says
в том состоянии
that we are in the state
нового человека,
of creation of a new person.
именно в состоянии
This state
самой природы,
is a natural state.
которая являет собой
It
белый
by
круг,
itself expresses through the white triangle.
присутствует
White triangle that has 3 main principles.
это Юпитер,
Jupiter.
который говорит нам о сердце
Jupiter says about heart,
личности,
about identity and personality, about feeling or feeling and knowledge.
Венера,
Venus,
показанная черным треугольником,
it is expressed through black triangle.
нам о высшем манасе,
It
о водительстве
says about higher menus, about dominance of hierarchical beginning of the higher vibrations and thoughts.
в себе
These vibrations and thoughts that we had to have within ourselves as a loyalty,
и преемственность.
as a loyalty and acceptance of these thin vibrations. Mercury
В белом треугольнике
within the white triangle
психической природы,
belongs about Utha nature of us, about the purity of mind,
потенции этой
about capacity that our minds have to live, to perceive,
не ввергаться
not to fall
в формы жизни,
into forms of life,
принимать их такими,
but to accept them,
какие они есть,
accept them as they
не
are,
цепляться за них.
without trying to
Это буддхическая
catch
сторона
them.
природы.
This is
И мы как раз
the important side of our nature, and we are in this part of the wheel of time.
мы имеем возможность реализовать
Now we have an opportunity
потенциальность
to
великих
manifest these great principles.
низший манас
Manas
должен
that
поклониться сердцу,
can submit to
а выше
heart and spirit. In that case, the higher manas
возможности для
open
совершенства
opportunity to us to achieve perfection, and this opportunity will achieve Putha state of consciousness.
Спасибо.
Thank you so much.
Большое спасибо.
Thank you so much for your
Находясь в таких
discussion.
данных сегодняшнего
Now we are in those Netherlands. It's not very frequent to be there, and it's quite rarely that we see 2 wild boars at the same time, yellow and white. It's 2 times expressed consciousness. So the whole space is full of this manifestation. We have these 2 points of spiritual, and actually we have the golden section of the blue dog, and at least 2 persons are representatives of these Netherlands. Our Lukmar Arad site was born in the Netherlands of blue dog, and I was born in the Neden of Blue Dragon as well. So we represent this cross on the scheme, this golden section. It can help us to accept the idea how to avoid crutches and use our legs. These 4 points of the golden section, blue dog, blue dragon, and yellow figures that will give us legs. What are these legs? When we have these legs, a person starts to walk, to move on. So the legs means motion. How can you move on with crutch? You will not be able to move. So it's nice, Nedans, it's very nice to have a look today at one of the quite difficult to understand sloks, the 6th sloka of the first stanza. Madame Blavatsky says that when we talk about differentiation, the stanza of the third sloka, we have another description before that. But we have a lot of information in this description. Madame Blavatsky warns that we have a lot of different aspects of this state, and they are very hard to perceive. And she adds a lot of comments to every sloka. And it adds a lot of notions and information to every part of it, with figures, with shapes, with geometric shapes and poems. She moves through all the planes of being, from the higher up and lower. It seems that up to that, it seems that we see a number of laws. First of all, the law of equality, the law of correspondence and association. These 3 laws expresses this state that we cannot perceive. Still, we will try to do that, because as Mr. Ironside mentioned today we have this time when we can do that together through borders and from different countries. We can try to feel these new ideas through what aspects. We can try to use these ideas and comments by Madame Blavatsky. I will show you some slides. There will be animation there, and it will show us these laws and direct us to the notions that we have in sloka number 6. And after that, we will use an important method that actually helps to study the secret doctrine. When we read comments, we becomes nerves of us, the whole body. We try to understand of which we consist, and we try to feel this form. After that, we immerse ourselves within the text, now without comments. And it's like immersing ourselves to pure water, and that will help us to feel what we cannot feel. I'm sure we will be able to do that.
The 7 sublime lords and the 7 truths had ceased to be, and the universe, the son of necessity, was immersed in Paranishpanna, to be outbreathed by that which is, and yet is not, naught was. So let us start from the end of the text of Dzian about breathing in and breathing out, and let's see what it is. Exhaling of the great breath is the appearance of the universe, and inhaling of the great breath is the disappearance of the universe. Therefore, we can associate and feel that when the great breath is directed, it becomes the divine breath, or the breath of the unknowable deity, the one being. The divine breath is inhaled, and the universe disappears in the bosom of the Great Mother, who then slumbers wrapped in her veils of the internally invisible. The great breath is what is and what is not at the same time. So what is the exhalation when aspiration, movement, time appear, and when it is not, then there is an inhalation when the aspiration, movement, and time disappear. So what is happening to the spirit then? There is the great finish. The one being, the unknowable deity, breathes out the thought that becomes the cosmos. At the planes of being, there is the thought becoming cosmos as outbreathing when unknowable deity makes it. That is the symbol of the seven-ray star. We know that there are the three aspects of absolute defining the state: breathing, abstract space, and duration. These are the two planes, the two aspects, pardon, of the absolute. According to the great law of correspondence or identity, these three aspects of the absolute, let's say that there are three, and three means reflection, because the mind or monad is threefold as well. We can say that the three aspects of the absolute is mind or monad. Hence, there is breathing, abstract space, and duration. If there are three there, then differentiation is there. Then this absolute is reflected. Let us see how these aspects can be reflected. From the very beginning, breathing is invisible, unrevealed, the aspect of the absolute. Where is it reflected? In movement. Abstract space, the second aspect of the absolute, has differentiation and revelation and becomes mother, giving birth. And the third aspect is duration, when this expression is happening, duration becomes time. So three and three, three unmanifested and three manifested ones. Actually, these are the three periods that we are considering right now: the past, the present, and the future. And the three periods define different difficult time. And these three are the complex number to, if we take it at the phenomenon plane, but at the nomenon plane, they do not have this abstract notion. The past is also the present and the future time, but still it's not manifested, but it exists though. This state that redirects the nominal world, that has the complicated unmanifested time, the past, the present, and the future that are not manifested yet, a Paranishpanna state. Paranishpanna, at the end of the great period of Mahamanvantara, which is achieved by all lives, or the period of rest, it's absolute perfection. That is, when the disappearance, the Paranishpanna is there, the three composite numbers of time disappear. The three periods, the past, the present, and the future, they disappear. And Paranirvana is the absolute non-being, which is the same way absolute being, because there is a single state of being and non-being. We can say it's beingness, the state reached by the human monad, but at the end of great cycle. And when it hasn't started yet, we see this path of movement for the monad that going through manifested planes of existence gets back to the state of Paranishpanna, where the past, the present, and the future disappear, and that is happening at the end of the great cycle. So the path of the light of monad to move till the path ends. About the monad, we can say that the monad does not leave its plane. It has this opportunity to renovate itself from cycle to cycle. Why? The monad itself does not have any movement. It has a light of movement, light of monad, and the light has this opportunity going through all cycles to return to the monad and to give it new energy. Therefore, it's renovated. Therefore, the evolution of the human spirit is happening through these renovations. But where does it start? This way of finish with the light of monad. Where does it start? Let us see. There was non-being, emptiness, and darkness. They were the three in one, and only they are self-existent and perfect. That is the single cause of potential movement and future light. So, non-being, emptiness, and darkness are three in one. They are potential movement of future light. Non-being, emptiness, and darkness are the sources. They are perfection, because this single being is not created. It does not go through evolution. There is not this task and goal. This single one doesn't have this task. Only its reflections can go through evolution. Let's see what are these reflections are. Reflections of non-being are being, and it can change with evolution. Then the existence means fullness, and it can evolutionate. The darkness means light, and it can change. And in the commentaries, HPB gives the state of 7 in the comments. The stanza and the 6th sloka. First stanza plus 6th sloka make 7, and here is where HPB gives a description of what is 7. 7 Supreme Lord, she says, and the 7 truths have ceased to exist. Who are these 7 Supreme Lords? These are the united cause in its sevenfold nature, and it's revealed in further revelation, manifestation in Tian Kugans. It's the start of hierarchy when the one cause is expressed in 7 revelations in a Tian Chuhani ray, and Tian Chuhans serve successively over one of the circles and the great root races of our planetary chain. How can we understand in this sevenfold nature, in this 6th sloka, and pray to each other and to see how the 7 Supreme Lords, the 7 Tian Chuhans, can be the same as the 7 races and the 7 circles and the 7 layers. There are 7 circles, 7 races, and 7 Tian Chuhans that are the first parts of hierarchy. They are the 7 Supreme Lords. The word supreme itself is the state of what was there before the 7 Supreme Lords came. The 7 Supreme Lords were in one cause, in their absolute state of the absolute completeness and light, and they were revealed by the 7 Supreme Lords. So that is the way the first great hierarchy came, starting everything, and that will finish everything. But There is no end. There is only transition to a different state. So when we look at these circles, who can point out where the beginning and the end of the circle is? It's almost impossible. This spiral movement comes and this spiral movement goes away. So there is the cycle of beginning and end, and nobody will be able to stop or start apart from this great law, the evolution. Every circle and every race has 7 Tianchuhans, for the higher lords who follow the light, who watch the cosmos, the planes of mind and creativity. We can see that the lords of light watching the cosmos, it's the state according to the triad. They and the three took the fourth non-form absolute light form of the further human evolution and were revealed in this first sevenfold nature. Next, Dhyani Buddhas, the material and formative plane that is called the compassionate heart. Here the Trinity comes, the triad, and here it's Trinity. And the 7 Bodhisattvas, Manuchi Buddhas or human Buddhas, the 5 sons of Dhyani Buddhas. 2 sons will be born in the 6 and 7 races. It's the physical plane. The Trinity emerged here. Here, according to the planes of being, there is the hierarchy through triad, trifold nature, and Trinity. And the sevenfold nature is revealed. The 7 supreme lords stopped to exist because the lords or Dhyani Chuhans who were watching how the cosmos emerged and who were following the whole 7 cycles, the whole 7 races will finally be finished, and the great finish of Mahapralaya will come. And afterwards, the great manifestation of Mahamanvantara will come. We have 7 Dhyan Chuhanis, 7 Dhyani Buddhas, and 7 Bodhisattvas. 7 multiplied by 3 is 21. 21 is force of Jupiter, and 21 is one of the sacred numbers because it is 3 triad, threefold nature, and Trinity. So we understood that one of the laws of the way it's one according to another, and we understood how these 7 supreme lords stopped to exist. That threefold force is passed from one to another, and it's just the nature of creatures. And the moon, it is also there, triad, trifold nature, and Trinity. The 7 truths correspond to the 7 circles. In Mahamanvantara, there are 7 circles. 4 truths are past. Right now, we're in this evolutionary period or cycle. We're in the 4th circle, and the 4 truths are open. The 4 Bodhisattvas, the 4 Dhyani Buddhas, and the 5th son, born as Buddha himself, who predefined the state of 5th and 6th races, was already there. The truth is just a revealed secret. Before the Secret Doctrine, there was a great book, Isis Unveiled, the secret unveiled, and after that, this secret was manifested in the Secret Doctrine and this fundamental work of the whole humanity for the 3rd millennium. So you can see the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th circles, they are not past because we haven't past fifth and sixth and seventh circles yet. Its evolution, its future, its potentiality, and therefore the secret is not unveiled. The world has already had 4 Buddhas. What is Buddha? Buddha is the vehicle of Buddhi, and the Buddhi is the absolute wisdom of the divine mind. Buddhi is spiritual energy that brings atomic substance into form and number, and accordingly from the plane of pure energy to the plane of substance. What is yet the 4th circle? It's the 4th dimension. We will understand the whole 4th circle and the 4th dimension. The 4th dimension is essentially the astral light that in its aspects is distinguished into the higher and lower astral planes. So let us see that if you say that the person is the cosmos, is the universe, is the same single state, then it should be associated and equal to human principles. 5th, 6th, and 7th are the dimensions that correspond to Atma, Buddhi, and Manas. And this triad exactly is outside the dimensions. This triad exactly goes together in the voice of silence. It's the great secret that is not unveiled, and it will be unveiled. This voice will be the true word only when the 7th race comes to its end. And for now, we know only vibration, or now the 4th circle. Vibration of this voice, I mean. And the initial triad with which everything began and with which the evolution of humanity will end. According to Atma, Buddhi, and Manas, the 3 principles, the high principles of the human consciousness. The 7th circle of Atma, the 7th state, the 6th state of Buddhi, the 6th state, the 5th circle, the 5th principle, the high principle Manas is the 5th circle, and the 4th lower Manas is where we live right now. We keep developing this 4th principle of the lower Manas till its perfection, or within the context of this Sloka till its great end. When the lower Manas will stop, it will finish when it's fully manifested and past, and it's in its full reflection. It will it will have to be merged by the higher manas. Until now, we can only feel vibration emanation of this state of asamadhi, when this light of the higher mind can be expressed in rational human being. And the rational mind tells us we know these high manas now, and in several minutes this rational mind understands it's an illusion. But in order to go outside this samsara wheel, the practical heart never forgets, because this impetus had to come from the upper part, and the human being will have to seek them constantly. Therefore, the monads in this cycle of manifestation and this 4th circle are the monads of the human evolution that once were enlightened and had revelation of their pure consciousness in the second, when the higher manas could be reflected in the lower manas. They had this state of synthesis. The 4th dimension, the 4th circle, development of the 4th one is the silver line of Antakarana, the bridge that is connecting the higher triad or the higher world to this fourth dimension. It's the sevenfold nature. The thread of Antakarana has this spiral movement, and in this spiral movement of the fourth dimension of the high triad is expressed. From the beginning of the cycle, 3 fall into 4. Let's see how it happens. And in that moment, the spirit is materialized. And when the cycle stops, the contrary, 4 go upwards to the 3. Therefore, matter becomes spiritual.
Paranirvana is such a state that we have no further absolute perfection. So it's like the end of the cycle, a limit, according to the highest level of excellence of the next period of activity. It has a kind of correspondence of a beautiful flower, which must cease to exist as a beautiful flower in order to grow into a perfect fruit. Let's have a look at the planes of being, where we have this beautiful or perfect flower and the perfect fruit. Paranirvana is the being itself. It's in a certain period of its activity, it ceases to exist because it has, according to evolution, to grow a perfect fruit. What does it mean, a perfect fruit? It's nirvana. On this scheme, we see it's the great light. It's the first form. It's what we see here, the light, which is completed within itself. And in this case, so we have this 4 number, which corresponds to what we mentioned earlier. Madame Blavatsky mentions the idea of knowledge. Why do we have this Sloka mentioning this phenomenon? What is the hidden knowledge? The hidden knowledge is a plane, or rather a point between 2 zeros, between 2 words or 2 states. What can it be? It's a cause and effect, which means that knowledge is the relationship between cause and effect. What correspondence can we see on this scheme between these 2 states? It's correspondence between higher manas and lower manas, 2 triangles of higher and lower manas, and the point between vertices. Here is the place where we find the hidden knowledge, which connects this motion of the silver thread, which moves into Sutratma by circle motions. It connects higher and lower manas. That's why it is hidden knowledge. It can do that. Dhyan Kogans act through high manas, and manas leads a person to liberation from dense matter, destroying those qualities that have chained a person to the physical incarnation, like chains. The higher minds, in accordance with the law of numbers, introduce atoms or souls into the shape. The shape is a figure. It's the first divine form. The secret knowledge, the hidden knowledge, teaches the constant development of all things, both worlds and atoms. And this wonderful development has no conceivable beginning or imaginary end. And our universe is just one of the infinite, innumerable universes. It's a chain.
сложности, причины и следствия добра и зла, света
It's a chain that,
в ее бесконечном движении.
and the knowledge is a combination of opposites. And hidden knowledge is transferred from teacher to the student. And this connection expands the consciousness and reveals the creative power, the only one that evolves. There is the main idea of this sloka, the manifestation of the hidden knowledge that is transmitted by the from the teacher to the student. So in this cycle, we see the cause of the future evolution when the great cycle will end. It's one of the great rules of entire cosmos, the supreme will. That means that the great mind creates on earth by the power of hierarchy. And the power of hierarchy is the united law, which is driving force of the universe. And it is manifested by the higher will. It's the driving force of the universe, which is shown through Fohat. Fohat appears in the aspect of cosmic electricity. The four spirits of fire indicate the action of the four differentiations. Have a look at the planes of being. We see the first motion starting there. That's why we have four spirits of fire and four differentiations of cosmic electricity. They are four differentiations of electrical energy, which are manifested in the conductors of organic matter in the form of qualities. Let's have a look at them. We have more planes here. The fourth is physical, and we also have other planes as well. This is the movement of cosmic electricity within the matter. Initiative, understanding, coordination, and execution. It is manifested through the state of mind. Let's have a look at them as this cosmic electricity behaves in the matter. We will see that we have four states of consciousness: initiative, understanding, coordination, and execution. Let's have a look at these four forms of consciousness manifest themselves in the evolution of our consciousness and the planes of being. The plane of archetypes means initiatives. The plane of mind and creativity means understanding. When the idea shows the first understanding, all the forms from the idea to the smallest manifested detail. The plane of material and formative plane shows coordination. So it's coordination of the whole process. You coordinate the whole plane. And the physical plane means execution. The only when you have initiative and have understanding, and when you can coordinate, and when you can do that, you can execute. That's why execution of the instructions of given by the teachers is the first impulse towards perfection. So we start from an idea and move on to the physical form. First of all, a person should execute and then study to coordinate, and then they achieve understanding and become initiative by completing these four differentiated flames of four forms of cosmic electricity. That's how we create projects and their realizations according to these laws. In order to get the recognition of coordinations, that leads to understanding. Oh, and then there is an idea or reason for the initiation, motivation, impulse of the mind to create. That's why following the instructions of the teachers is important. All the religions, and Madame Blavatsky mentions that, we see practical application of that as well. And all the ideas about time and duration are based on these ideas. According, all our notions of duration and time are derived from our sensations according to the laws of association. They are bound by the relativity of human knowledge, but they cannot have any other existence of the individual ego, and they disappear when its evolutionary progress dispels the Maya of phenomenal existence. So when it is dispersed, then our feelings disappear. Why? Because time is a panoramic sequence of states of our consciousness, not more, not less. In fact, we can say that we have time or we have not. Time is a relative concept in our manifested world. It helps us to understand phenomena and events, and there is no time in the universe because it cannot be measured and calculated because it doesn't exist there. In order to understand that, these two notions in one paradox, in order to do that, we have to acquire true self-awareness. It is necessary to acquire true self-awareness in order to understand samriti, which means false inference, the source of illusion. When we understand it, it dispels. This is the beginning of understanding. It's the beginning of seduction. We act, we know, we have initiation of understanding and recognition and coordination. And we have the ability to execute, which means that when we execute and act, we dispel the illusion, or we start to understand the this falseness. We discover the source of illusion. We have no more secrets. And Paramatma, which means absolute existence, is a synonym of Svasamyadana, which means thinking that analyzes itself. Imagine what a state you should achieve, like light becoming light, or you have to become you. It's the completion of the great cycle. In order to Svasamyadana state to be able to analyze itself, it should become higher. In order to do that, only by achieving that state, it will be possible to analyze all other parts. Paramartha was the only true existence. It is mentioned by Madame Blavatsky. When the lower yourself achieves the higher, which means the true self-awareness is timeless, or it binds together three components, past, present, and future. When we get rid of this false illusion and this false thought, when we get rid of it, this new true self-awareness appears. appears, because time is an illusion. It will be the reason, the cause of this false illusion. When we are timeless, when we bind past, present, and future into one, then we become the light in itself. There is the end of the cycle. It's the sixth sloka of this first stanza. And the matter appears as well when we have this state, or rather when it stops. The motion is slowed down and the materia, the matter appears, which means that the matter is slow motion. Universal light is equal to universal mind. I would say it has no speed or velocity. Universal mind can only accelerate the movement, and the matter is slowing the motion. But the universal mind is the driver of the speed of movement, penetration and connection. Paranishpanna corresponds to this state. It is the complete state of the great cycle. According to our study, when the spirit knows the end, many statements can be determined. Can you imagine that? We can determine what cannot be determined. We can start walking and get rid of the crutches of this illusion. We can use our legs and start walking towards ourselves. This is the endless way that updates the monada, because the light of the monada falls into the cycle and our heart becomes smart, mind becomes kind, and at that time we have a change in the state of our consciousness. So when the spirit knows the end, many statements can be determined, and the person can live consciously. A person, the word person translated from Sanskrit means a disciple and time, which means teaching in the passage of time cycles. This word person in Sanskrit means teaching in the passage of time cycles. We are now in some preliminary state. We haven't become persons yet. We will become them when we start this movement towards ourselves in the cycle of time. Living for the fourth circle is the form of light, the form of the power of the spirit, the mind, which gives the impulse to ascend and complete. And our task here is to learn to complete. According to the law of completion, when we are in the cycle of month, year, or week, or night, the hour, day, the minute, second, or part of second, if we do not learn how to complete our state within this minute, day, week, month, century, year, in that case, we will have to complete the state of pain or joy, or the state of satisfaction. We have to, if we learn to complete the state of pain or joy, suffering or pleasure, resentment or recognition, satisfaction and dissatisfaction, we can achieve a state of self-knowledge. That is to remain pure, not plunging into the transitory or temporary, but remaining in eternity. This cultivating your spirit, heart, refining and sharpening your intellect, eventually becoming intelligent. which means that our goal is to become truly sevenfold when the great cycle ends and the great completion comes. And the seven supreme lords and the seven truths will cease to exist. And the universe, the sun of necessity, will be immersed in paranishpanna, to be exhaled by what is, and at the same time is not. In the meantime, there was nothing. So all these cycles actually have the same notion, the common universal right. And this universal right leads us to the great completion of the great cycle. This cycle is discussed in the 6th sloka. The cycle of cycles, this idea, just think about it. We had a description of that. We talk quite precisely about the great completion, about the cycle of cycles. And we have it, and all that is expected will be. Just have a look at that. This notion, when you reject your crutches and you start using your legs, that would allow you to use this power to execute. What is the full completion, the great completion? It's crutches. We win and in the fight with our enemy. The cosmic love plays an important role here. In India, there is a nice idea about city Irana. If you remember correctly, it's it who was stolen by Ravana, and those who stolen Sita wanted to destroy this cosmic love, but they were not able to show distraction, because distraction can be applied only on what you have. But he did not have cosmic love. That's why they wasn't able to destroy them. But Sita had a cosmic love, and her despair and her heart enforced that cosmic love within our heart. Remember how she moved into the flames with joy, with no doubt, because she was this cosmic love. And there is only one law that manages the whole universe. It's the higher will. And according to this line, we can create the evolution of spirit. What is an evolution of spirit? Which means that the highest mind uses the power of hierarchy in the whole understanding and beauty and clarity. And this idea of understanding of hierarchy opens all the possibilities. And we should consider the laws of hierarchy as the summit of the creation in the universe. And that's how these ideas appear.
What is the summit of the hierarchy? That is the cosmic love. It manifests, and it can stop the great cycle of Mahapralaya. There is no other, because the mind is enlarged by living ethics, and this living ethics is the culture of kind mind and open heart. What is kind mind? It is when the lower manas accepts the light of the higher manas. And what is the clever heart? It's when this heart becomes rational, then there is feeling knowledge that corresponds to this clear mind. And when these two come together, then the cosmic right can finish this process. And this cosmic love, these two components, just take this cosmic love and keep it till some time, till some cycle. So the sixth sloka is the cosmic love that is maintained and measured by this ring, this tetragrammaton that is within the Kalachakra wheel, till the point when the snake opens its tail and when the new cycle comes, when the new cycle of Mahavantara comes. So this sevenfold nature, these seven sublime lords who have this feeling, this task, this opportunity to maintain and to transfer to the lords these seven truths, these seven Tianchupanis, this great hierarchy. When it happens, this necessity, the sun, the third one, comes. What is the sun? It's the third one. Till now there are two, and they were keeping this cosmic right, cosmic love. And when the necessity or the sun opens this cycle and starts movement of Mahamanvantara, then the first sevenfold nature comes. Till now, it's all in Paranishpanna. So that is why HPB and the stanzas in the context says that we can exhale with what we have, the cosmic love, the mind, the monad, the cycle, the light, the finish of the cycle, and at the same time, not. What is not? The time is not. It's closed, and till now there was nothing. And we saw this white disk at the black background that will be with us till stanza 3, sloka 3. So that is just the introduction and the associated thought and the thoughts we have in order to help us apply this sloka every day. If we have been offended, then we have to open it and end it inside our heart. The same as joy, the same as satisfaction or dissatisfaction. We should be higher initiators. We should have the higher idea to follow it. We should have this great desire to follow this universal chain. Therefore, we apply this knowledge from the Secret Doctrine, having the basis, and we should study the Secret Doctrine. Therefore, we'll be able to apply the knowledge and not going to cosmogenesis, but being here always in this state, being ready to cooperate, and therefore we'll be able to distinguish this kind mind and clever heart. Then we'll never compromise. We'll know the difference between compromises and cooperation. Right now, many people just subsided with these beautiful clothes of brotherhood that is actually not. It does not exist. HPB lived through it first, and now it's continued. Probably the cycle will come when we will know that we shouldn't compromise and make a union with the darkness. We should cooperate and enlarge differentiation of light and love towards the absolute knowledge. And then the force of the absolute love and knowledge is where we will talk not about tolerance, but about conscious action of the united spirit, of the single grain of spirit that excludes tolerance. Tolerance is not the theosophical notion, actually, but we should talk a lot about that. next time from next class, when we discuss the seventh sloka, we can talk more with each other, with Luke Michael Ironside, and trying to understand how he understands these notions, how we should clarify, purify these notions so that they are enlightened. And then no offense will touch us because we will conquer with cosmic love. It will be the force to conquer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having listened to me. And I give the word to finish to Luke Michael Ironside. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I think it's always fascinating how much is contained in these very brief stanzas. There is so much, slokas, I'm sorry, there is so much to unfold and to uncover and discover in each of these slokas, such a wealth of wisdom, and you explain it all in a very clear and very comprehensive way, exploring the different aspects of this from an astrological aspect, from a macrocosmic aspect, and from the perspective of the individual and how it applies to us as human beings as well. And that's really important in Theosophy, to examine these great concepts from all these different angles. So again, we return to the Hermetic axiom of as above, so below. By studying the birth and evolution of our cosmos, we're able to recognize certain principles which actually apply to our own personal growth and development. And that's fascinating how interconnected everything is. These ancient events in which our universe sprang into being are actually intrinsically connected to our own personal lives at this very moment. And I think that's a fascinating thought to reflect upon and realize. And so in this stanza, we read that in this sloka, we read that the seven sublime lords and the seven truths had ceased to be, and the universe, the son of necessity, was immersed in Paranishpanna, to be outbreathed by that which is and yet is not, naught was. So again, this idea of paradox is coming into being, right? For how can we're reading here about eternity. So how is it that something which is part of eternity has ceased to be? The seven sublime lords and the seven truths. How can a truth cease to be? And further, how can something be outbreathed by that which is and yet at the same time is not? So some really interesting paradoxes about being and non-being. And so we can interpret the seven sublime lords as being another epithet for the Ahi or the Dayan Chohans, which we find referred to again and again in the Secret Doctrine, sometimes mentioned as being analogous to the archangels that we find in the Judeo-Christian tradition. The seven truths correspond to each of the seven rounds of our evolutionary development of our globe, and the revelations that are imparted to humankind during each. So as we know from theosophical study, this evolution is not blind, it's not purposeless. There's actually a specific direction and reason for our evolution. It's being guided, and it's being guided through a grand process where we are being given certain truths and certain new abilities at different points along the journey, at those points when we are best prepared to receive them. And as we are currently still within the fourth round of this great evolutionary journey, only 4 of these secrets have been revealed to us. And this is the reason that we find in various traditions, such as the 4 truths and the 4 Vedas and the Hindu and Buddhist scriptures. And we also find the Church Father Irenaeus' insistence on there being only 4 gospels. So the significance of the number 4 is really interesting from an examination of this passage. And in terms of paranishpanna, Madame Blavatsky describes this by stating, the condition of paranishpanna without paramartha, the self-analyzing consciousness, is no bliss but simply extinction for 7 eternities. So just as there must be a period of existence, there must also be a period of non-existence in order for balance to be kept. And the universe is referred to as the son of necessity for the reason that it is only through our manifested existence that we may gradually develop and evolve into our higher potentials. So without the universe, there would be no opportunity for development. And without development, without evolution, there would be no purpose of being. Everything would simply be in a state of non-activity. There would be no purpose to this existence. And so what we've been learning through these stanzas, through these slokas up to this current point, is the process of the universe's evolution and development. We've heard this referred to as the great breath, and the idea that everything begins in thought. Thought is at the heart of existence. It begins as a thought in the mind of the Logos before becoming concretized into this physical existence, and much more than physical existence as well, but this sevenfold existence in which we find ourselves. And these gradually come into being through the power of thought. And this manifests also in our personal lives, which is why thought is so important. Our thinking has a huge impact on our physical reality. We've learned how abstract space takes on the role of mother, gives birth, and how duration comes into play as a process of this. Duration becomes time. And this is where we get such things as such divisions as past, present, and future, knowing that these divisions are in essence ephemeral or unreal, an illusion, but they are something which we must deal with and seek to comprehend while in this plane of manifestation. And so as we continue on, we're going to be learning more about the connection between these great cosmic principles and our own individual lives, and how we can apply these in a truly transformative manner. So I'd like to once again thank the course leaders and thank the participants, and thank the translators and the technical support for making this event possible. And I'll hand back to the course leaders for the final words. Thank you very much.
Большое спасибо. Сегодня
Thank you so much. Today, we're helping us today in a connection with the whole world. Tatiana Kostenko and Alexandra Boko, thank you so much for your great interpretation. Then we received from our colleagues a lot of wishes and congratulations, and everybody just is so grateful that you bring these subtle thoughts, and people just don't understand how it is even possible to interpret. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for making this dialogue possible, this internal unmanifested dialogue to manifest it in the world. Thank you so much. Thank you, technical support as well. Our class is close to its end, and I'd like to say the following. These classes come one after another. On the 25th of December, please come, everybody. We'll have the international class with interesting speakers. The new speakers will come, and they will review the whole first stanza. It will be so interesting to listen to from different parts of the country. Theosophists and scientists will present key movements of all slokas of the first stanza. It will be the volume in what we are talking about. And please connect, please come. And our meeting at the online class is the last this year. We'll meet next time on the 13th of January 2022, when this black tiger will give birth to this spiritual person, and with new thoughts, with new ideas, with new revelations, will meet each other. I'd also like to tell you just a minute, please, that this year, the Jubilee International Theosophical edition of Albatross, the Theosophical Vector, the magazine, has come into existence, and this magazine is where scientists and theosophists from different countries of the world are published. And here we can see scientists, theosophists, and scientific articles devoted to HPB, Theosophy, the Secret Doctrine, and this magazine is devoted to 190th anniversary since the birth of HPB. Right now, you will watch a small videos of the Theosophical International magazine Albatross. Please visit our site and read these articles both in English and Russian. And these great studies will help you definitely. On the 25th of December, we're waiting for you, and on the 13th of January, we'll be together with you. Thank you so much, everybody. Wish you a good luck, new cycle, new opportunities, new revelations. Wish you light and love. Thank you.
Albatross.
The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Dedicated to all true Theosophists. Book of the Third Millennium.
Blavatsky only knew.